Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I finally have Tier 3 Deadpool. But first, we have something else to talk about, and that is the latest sneak peek for the upcoming update. And we're going back, we're rewinding a few updates to Infinity War, or so it seems, because we have this new teaser image of Thanos raising his Infinity Gauntlet to the stars, I guess. We have the Titan world boss stage for Thanos behind him, and then we have on Mobirum the following text: agents, we have a code red. I repeat, code red. The Infinity Stones have been gathered once more, calling all heroes to prepare for the ultimate showdown. And remember, never give up. There's something similar, although not as intimidating and cool, on Twitter, but of course that means only one thing: we are getting a World Boss Ultimate upgrade for Thanos. So as you can see, the one we have in the game currently is just Thanos in his normal form, not even the Secret Wars form. And of course the new World Boss Ultimates that we've gotten have all been related, both in their skills and in their visual appearance, to their new uniforms, and that obviously is going to remain the same for Thanos. So we can expect Thanos to come out with the in preparation. It's going to change, and we're going to get a new stage, and I'm quite excited about that for a couple of different reasons. The first reason is that the Titan component, or the Titan records that are dropped by Proxima, Ebony Maw, Corvus, and Cull Obsidian, correspond to the 4 existing types that we have now: Combat, Blast, Speed, and Universal. And before we had the X-Men or Mutant Tier 3s, i.e. Deadpool, a lot of people speculated that there was going to be a new Titan record for mutants, but in fact there isn't. I used Speed books, that's why I have 0 now, for Deadpool. So it does beg the question, because a lot of people thought when Thanos comes out, he's going to drop these Mutant Tier 3 books or materials, or maybe they thought some of these world bosses would when they got their upgrade, and perhaps Scarlet Witch will be getting her upgrade soon, but there is no mutant book. So now the question is, well, what exactly is going to differentiate Thanos from his kind of generals, and how is this fight going to be more epic? Because presumably it's going to be the only kind of content upgrade for the world boss that we're seeing, so it's got a pretty hefty impact. And so instead of just having, or rather than just having a battle, a singular battle that has all of the same drops, the Mcron or the Cosmic Cube Fragments and the Titan Component Packs and the Dimension Dust, I think a lot of players, and myself included, are expecting something a little bit more. Now, what exactly Thanos drops more than the other world bosses, I don't know. Perhaps he'll have an extra slot for an extra roll of a random item of the Tier 3 components, of the 3 that we need. Perhaps he'll guarantee a book. I think the best thing that Netmarble could do is to either make him guarantee a book or guarantee Cosmic Cube Fragments. I think either one of those people will be pleased with. Probably Cosmic Cube Fragments are the biggie that I see the majority of players complaining about, rather than books. So actually, if I was going to revise my suggestion for Netmarble, I would say give Thanos the ability, make his world boss harder, whatever. I don't really care about the world boss ultimate difficulty, but make him drop a guaranteed number of Cosmic Cube Fragments, and it could be anywhere from 0 to 10 on the first 10 stages, 10 to 20 on the next 20, and then so on and so forth, so that you reward players who put more effort into World Boss Ultimate, but you always give even players doing level 1 a chance to get some fragments each and every time. And I think that's something that a lot of players should be looking forward to, but also looking at critically. If Netmarble releases his World Boss Ultimate and just gives him new skills and gives him the facelift, the makeover to his visual appearance, but doesn't actually address any of the concerns or any of the complaints of the community as far as the drop rate of Cosmic Cube Fragments, I think that's a really important sign for you as the player. And I think if that were the case, I probably wouldn't recommend you going to the store and purchasing items that give you Cosmic Cube Fragments in order to supplement that. I think that, make a statement with your purchases for Cosmic Cube Fragments. If it's not going to be addressed, hopefully it will be addressed, and that won't be an issue. But I just wanted to put that out there for you guys as a thought experiment, and as something that we can look forward to and see how Netmarble handles probably one of the loudest criticisms since the original, Infinity War update back at the end of April. We've gone about 3 months now with this new system, and I think now is a reasonable enough amount of time. They have enough data, enough information, and enough complaints on Reddit, Mobirum, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter that they can see we need more Cosmic Cube fragments. End of story. But I'll be curious to see how it kind of plays out. I'll be curious to see what you guys think of the Thanos World Boss Ultimate. Who do you think is going to be kind of best at that game mode? Because we have had, pretty specific characters be good at specific World Boss Ultimates until now. And hopefully we'll have some interesting challenges with specific characters to get through stages 10, 20, 30, and so on. But now on to the main event, Deadpool Tier 3. Now, full disclosure ahead of time, I was trying to make some content for a future video that I think you guys are really going to love, and I accidentally killed a world boss with Deadpool, so I'm not able to show you actual world boss ultimate footage, but we will be trying Deadpool against Stage 40 Corvus tomorrow on the Twitch livestream, or today on the Twitch livestream, about 8 hours or 9 hours from now. So definitely check that out on twitch.tv/Cynicalex if you want to see Stage 40. But I think a shorthanded version for Deadpool Tier 3 is, holy crap, that's a lot of damage. Now, his survivability does go up from Tier 2 to Tier 3, and I did notice that when I did some testing of my own in things like Timeline Battle, and I will be showing you guys a few clips versus Tier 1 levels, Tier 2 level 70 versus now, but I think the big change, the bigger change is actually in his damage output. It's absolutely massive how much damage he puts out, and I actually want to do a couple of runs here while I'm explaining some things with Chapter 12A. I know this isn't particularly difficult, but it is something that often newer players ask about and want to know who can solo Chapter 13.8, and I think this is a pretty decent way to show off just how much damage Deadpool does. And not only did he get a massive stat boost, but to begin with, all of his skills from 1 all the way to 5 deal massive damage, and I think this is where he's definitely going to outshine Tier 3s like Ant-Man, probably Spider-Man, Iron Man, and possibly even Thor. And that is that his base skills deal so much damage that he just annihilates characters in front of him, and that becomes very obvious when you Tier 3 him, because you can essentially one-shot anyone in Timeline Battle with any of Deadpool's skills. If they don't have an invincibility obelisk, or if you have your penetration up, it's just game over from the beginning. And that is a big difference, because even for a lot of other Tier 3 characters, they can't do that. They have a couple of skills. Captain America has his 5th skill, Thor has his 5th skill, but they don't necessarily one-shot with all of their skills. Spider-Man's never going to one-shot you with just his 1st skill, especially not one-shotting other Tier 3s. But that is absolutely the case for Deadpool, and he blew through that stage in like 30 seconds. And now I want to show you a couple of other Tier 3s. Now, keep in mind, of course, Deadpool does have a leadership here, so this is not an exact comparison between him and Thor. Of course, Thor does have higher base stats than, or higher boosted stats than Deadpool when talking about his Tier 3 stat bump, and I think that was something that a lot of people criticized Deadpool about. They said, well, Deadpool's Tier 3 boost from Tier 2 to Tier 3 is worse than Thor's. How can Deadpool be such a good character? Well, turns out he is. On top of that, you have to remember that because Deadpool is a native Tier 2, he was already starting from a higher base stat level, and I think that was something that got lost in the comparison between someone like Captain America and Deadpool, or Thor and Deadpool, is that Deadpool's base stats are going to be higher, and so when he jumps from Tier 2 to Tier 3, he's jumping from a higher point of starting. And while this is still pretty easy for all these characters, you can see Thor's not having any trouble. Thor's not taking off half of Odin's health with 1 skill as easily or as quickly as Deadpool. And on top of that, although I have limited practice with it for now, I do feel right now, it's still early to tell, but I do have a feeling initially that Deadpool's Tier 3 skill itself may end up being the best or the second best Tier 3 skill in the game. And I know that's compared immediately to Heroic Charge, which is Captain America's tier 3 skill, and which is the best tier 3 skill in the game. But Deadpool's tier 3 skill is absolutely mental, maximum effort, and he charges it very quickly. It's not a slow charge tier 3 like Thor's or others, and he just melts everyone with it as soon as you get it off. And I think especially in fights like Deadpool versus Deadpool, it's really going to come down to things like who gets their tier 3 skill off first in order to kind of deal that knockout punch. So I want to do a little quick comparison here on timeline, and I do want to show you that while I am very impressed with Deadpool and I do think that he's an amazing character, he absolutely has weaknesses, and I don't want to make him sound like he's undefeatable. Here, I'm going to show you what I think is probably the best team for Deadpool. This takes advantage of his leadership. It takes advantage of Wasp's tier 2 passive to give him debuff immunity, and then it also takes advantage of a team up with Colossus for 5% max HP, and you take advantage of Colossus's will, his passive, which gives Deadpool 50% less damage from supervillains. So it makes Deadpool a lot stronger against Thanos, which is one of his big counters, and of course Strife, the big baddie from the new update. I'm also going to be taking on one of the most decorated PvP players in the game, Carl LCL. You guys have probably seen his name before. He's rocking Strife, Deadpool, and Thanos. This is a very difficult team, but I want to show you a very stark contrast between Deadpool Manual and Deadpool Auto. And this is where I think the iframe versus guard break immunity really comes into full picture. Here, he's able to deal damage, but he does get guard broken very easily, and because you're not able to control the character manually and spam his skills and at times interrupt his iframes for other iframes, Deadpool ends up getting guard broken repeatedly, and he ends up getting locked into animations, or he just ends up getting one-shotted or two-shotted. Here I'm actually doing a really good job, Deadpool versus Deadpool, and I think I'm going to be able to win this one because I started against Strife, and so I'm able to charge up my tier 3 skill faster. As long as I don't die before then, I actually killed his Deadpool. As long as I don't die before then, I think Thanos should be dead here. And this is actually one of, yeah, he's just toast. That's actually the best autoplay I've ever seen from Deadpool, and it's not what I expected at all, and it makes him look even more OP, which was not what I expected. I'm going to try again just to try to get a more reasonable showing from him, but he definitely does gain a lot of survivability at tier 3, a lot more HP, which does affect his healing. Now you can see his healing is being interrupted currently by Strife's Fracture, which is a really cool interaction between these two effects, and he's basically not allowing Deadpool to heal at all, and I actually might just die here, but you can see the immediate disadvantage of being guard broken repeatedly. I did have some other negative effects, but it was that repeated guard break and that repeated kind of stun lock that he had Deadpool in that wasn't allowing him to do any skills. And you can see here Wasp is getting hit, but she's able to fight back because she has guard break immunity, and that is where guard break immunity is going to be a really big difference maker for PvP Deadpools. Now of course a lot of you probably don't really care about Deadpool PvP, so it's not going to matter, but for those of you that want to get the most out of him on both ends, something like a CTP of Destruction may be your best bet. And it's hilarious that Thanos, or that Colossus made it to Thanos, that he actually is able to kill the enemy Deadpool with Reflect, and Thanos is hiding. But this is in stark contrast to when you fight the character with manual play. And I'm going to try to show you guys now Deadpool manually. He did die to Strife, and Strife is admittedly a bit of a kind of touch and go fight against Deadpool, because it can be something that ends really quickly like that, or it can take a lot longer, and it can be something that actually ends up killing Deadpool. But one thing that I want you guys to notice about the fights is the fourth skill. I think the fourth skill is one of the most interesting skills that Deadpool has because of how long of a skill is. I might actually die here, but if I don't die, I want to show you. I'm going to trigger his invincibility with Deadpool's fourth skill, but because Deadpool's fourth skill is so long, I can actually kill Thanos by the time his immunity is over with that last hit of the fourth skill. Right there. That was a perfect, picture-perfect example. His fourth skill lasts so long, and that last hit where he kind of cleans his sword does so much damage. Every single hit of Deadpool's skills deals tremendous damage, to the point where you can one-shot a character from half health right after their invincibility obelisk has expired, the 5 seconds or the 4 seconds, and there's literally nothing they can do about it because you're still in an iframe. So it's a really interesting situation where it was kind of an unforeseen buff that his tier 3 has amplified the value of his skills to the point where he can murder you with any skill almost at any given time. And so it makes even the individual hits of the individual skills so threatening because he's rocking 30,000 physical attack and so much HP. And while you compare just the stat numbers to other characters, especially other tier 3s, and it doesn't seem that impressive. Well, Ant-Man has more physical attack. Captain America, of course, has more HP. But then you think about the fact that all of his skills, maybe because he's a native tier 2, or maybe because he's Deadpool, all of his skills deal just so much damage standalone. And of course, these kind of numbers never really tell the full story. 85% physical damage, additional 1,147. We don't really know what that means. It's very hard to quantify what those numbers mean precisely, but then you see them in action, and you see him one-shotting a character with the last hit of a 40 hit skill and quick work. And I could have also finished off Thanos with maximum effort. And you start to realize in more of a bigger scope, in more of a macro way, that Deadpool is an amazing tier 3 character. So I'm really happy with the character. I think he's fantastic. I think he absolutely shreds everyone in his way, which is exactly what you expect him to do. The survivability is better, but we're still going to have to do more testing to see just how tanky he is. I don't think he's as tanky as Wolverine, frankly, and I think that is owed to the speed tag and his class more than anything else. But with a future uniform, with a future damage reduction passive or a buff to his heal, he may outlast Wolverine in the future. So let me know what you guys think of the sneak peek with Thanos and the New World Boss Ultimate stage and kind of the throwback that we're going to Infinity War. Let me know what you think of Tier 3 Deadpool. Let me see you guys on Twitch and down below in the comments. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. Hit the bell if you don't want to miss any of my videos. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.